Welcome to Recaply X, your movie recap in a flash. We bring the drama, the action, and the twists. In minutes, the movie begins in the magical city of Oz, where we see the flying monkeys soaring in the sky. The villagers are happy because the Wicked Witch of the West has died. Suddenly, they see a floating bubble descending upon them, revealing the good witch, Glinda. Glinda arrives and confirms the news of the Wicked Witch's death. Then, we see a little girl asking Glinda, "Was the Wicked Witch born evil?" Glinda replies, "No, she had a normal mother and father. Her father was the ruler of Munchkinland, but he had to leave the city for a meeting. While he was away, his wife took the opportunity to bring her lover to the palace. The lover brought a green bottle, which the queen drank. After some time, the queen became pregnant and gave birth to a baby girl. Strangely, the baby was born with green skin, which shocked everyone. Now we understand that the queen was pregnant by her lover, not the king. At that moment, the baby started crying, and all the objects in the room rose to the ceiling. The ruler became furious and ordered the bear, Dillamond, to take the baby away. The bear obeyed and took her, raising her himself and naming her Elphaba. Later, the queen gave birth to another daughter, Nessarose, who had normal skin because she was the king's legitimate daughter. Now we see that the ruler favored Nessarose over Elphaba. Nessarose was also born disabled. Despite the ruler's favoritism, Elphaba loved and cared for her sister. She would always tell Nessarose about the great Wizard of Oz, who lived in the Emerald City. One day, young boys started bullying Elphaba. She became angry, and strangely, when she got angry, the stones on the ground began to move. Nessarose got scared and started crying. When the king arrived, he was upset by Elphaba's presence and told her, "Because of you, your sister is scared and crying." Now we return to Glinda, who, after celebrating with the villagers over the Wicked Witch's death, was about to leave when one of the villagers asked her, "Was the Wicked Witch your friend?" Glinda replied, "Yes, she was my friend," and began telling the story. She said, "On my first day at the School of Magic, my parents dropped me off and said goodbye. Suddenly, a boy approached me and greeted me. He was immediately attracted to me, but I didn't care about him. Then, Elphaba arrived at the School of Magic. All the students were afraid of her because of her green skin, and even Glinda was surprised. Elphaba asked her, "Is my hair messy?" Glinda replied, "What hair? You're green and you look scary." Elphaba said, "Before you bully me and say the same things I've heard all my life, you should know that I'm not sick. I don't eat herbs, and I was simply born green." But the students remained afraid of her and never approached her, except for Glinda. Glinda saw an opportunity and said, "I will study magic so I can help you change your skin color." After that, all the students liked Glinda because she was trying to help others. Elphaba then said, "You want to help someone, but you haven't even learned magic yet." Later, Elphaba's father arrived with Nessarose and told Elphaba, "Stop embarrassing me in front of people." He then gave Nessarose a gift, her mother's diamond-encrusted shoes. Nessarose was overjoyed and thanked him. He then told Elphaba to take care of her sister. Shortly after, Madame Morrible, the headmistress of the School of Magic, arrived. She spoke harshly to Elphaba, but Glinda intervened, saying, "I come from a wealthy family," and asked Madame Morrible to treat her better. However, Madame Morrible didn't care and told Glinda, "You are just like the other students." Later, the students were assigned to their rooms. A teacher introduced herself to Nessarose and said, "You are the ruler's daughter, and you are beautiful." But when she saw Elphaba, she was shocked and said, "I didn't know the ruler had another daughter." Elphaba replied, "I didn't come here to study. I came to take care of my sister." The teacher took Nessarose to her room, but Elphaba tried to stop her, reminding her that she had promised her father to take care of her sister. The teacher ignored her, and Elphaba became angry, causing everything to fly into the air, including her sister. She destroyed the place, and all the students were terrified. Madame Morrible was watching from above and realized that Elphaba was a powerful witch. She then approached Elphaba and said, "You are special." She asked the students, "Who wants to share a room with Elphaba?" Glinda, without thinking, raised her hand. Madame Morrible then tried to convince Elphaba to join the School of Magic, promising to teach her how to control her powers. Elphaba refused, saying, "My father will not allow it." Madame Morrible assured her, "I will handle it." Elphaba then started singing, saying that she would become special, that everyone would love her once she met the wizard, and that she would be famous and free from people's cruelty. She also hoped that her sister would no longer be ashamed of her. Later, Elphaba entered her room and was shocked to see that Glinda had taken up almost the entire space, leaving her only a tiny corner. Glinda said, "I know you did magic. Teach me how you did it." Elphaba got angry and said, "I don't know how." In her frustration, she accidentally shattered the glass. The two girls couldn't stand each other and kept saying, "We hate each other and don't want to share a room." Days passed and their relationship remained the same. All the students admired Glinda for her beauty, but they feared and avoided Elphaba. One day during a lecture, their history teacher, a goat named Dr. Dillamond, introduced himself. He mispronounced Glinda's name, which made her angry. She said, "Why did you mispronounce my name? Is it because you're a goat?" Dr. Dillamond explained to the students that, in the past, animals in Oz were the ones who taught humans. But now, things had changed, and humans no longer wanted animals to be teachers. Then, they noticed a message written on the blackboard. Animals should be seen, but not heard. It was supposed to be that Fidelamond would silence the room with his words, breaking the vase and ending the lecture. However, Alpha stays behind, comforting him and picking up the flowers. She then tells him that she has been bullied her entire life and has no friends. Fidelamond responds, "From today, I will be your friend." Afterward, Alpha goes to Mora and Beale, where she tries to help her control her magic. Mora Beale tells her to focus on the coin and try to move it, but Alpha fails to control her magic. Mora Beale attempts to provoke her by reminding her of what happened with Fidelamond. Alpha gets upset and says, "What happened shouldn't have happened." She then mentions, "I felt the same feeling as the goat," but Mora Beale doesn't care about her words, focusing only on the magic. Mora Beale then says that soon she will meet the wizard. Later, Alpha goes down and sees the goat walking, looking sad. Alpha follows him and overhears him talking to the other animals about a second incident that occurred. He explains how humans always blame the animals, forcing them to leave their burdens behind. The goat mentions that the cow urgently wants to meet her. When he went to meet her, he found that she had disappeared. Since then, she vanished just like the other animals that have been disappearing. The goat also reveals that humans prevented the bull from studying, causing him to lose his ability to speak. Not just the bull, but also the owl and other animals. Alpha becomes angry and suddenly has a vision of the goat being imprisoned. When she moves, the animals sense her presence. The goat appears and invites her to drink tea with him. Alpha says that what is happening to the animals should not be ignored, and that someone must inform the wizard. Fidelamond warns her not to involve herself in such matters, but Alpha returns to her room. On her way, she bumps into a young man riding a horse. Alpha gets angry at him, and the young man is surprised to see a girl walking alone in the dark forest. Strangely, he doesn't seem surprised by her skin color. When he offers to escort her, Alpha refuses. The young man tells his horse, "This is the first time a girl has rejected me." It is then revealed that this young man is Prince Fibro, who has come to study at the magic school. As soon as the news spreads, Glinda finds out about the prince's arrival. She rushes to put on makeup, accessories, and her best clothes to catch the prince's attention. Indeed, when the prince sees her, he is enchanted by her beauty. He begins talking to her about the school, but when she takes him to the library, he notices Alpha. However, Glinda ignores Alpha. Prince Fibro then starts dancing and singing, saying, "Forget studying." The students abandon their lessons and join him in singing and dancing. He invites all the students to a party in the ballroom. At the party, Book takes the opportunity to ask Glinda to dance with him, but Glinda, with her eyes set on the prince, refuses. She tells him, "See that sad girl over there? We should make her happy. Go ask her to dance." Book is thrilled and agrees, saying he will do it for Glinda. He approaches Nisa Rose and tells her, "Glinda asked me to dance with you." Nisa Rose is overjoyed and tells her sister, "We misunderstood Glinda. She has a kind heart because, thanks to her, Book invited me to the party." Later, Glinda wears her best dress, with her friends helping her get ready. When they see the hat, Glinda says her grandmother always gave her trivial things and that she plans to give the hat to the person she dislikes the most. Her friend suggests that it should go to Alpha. At first, Glinda is hesitant, saying she doesn't dislike Alpha that much. However, when Alpha enters the room and thanks her for helping Nisa Rose, Glinda tells her to join them at the party. She gives Alpha the hat, insisting she wear it immediately. At the ballroom, the students laugh at Alpha's strange outfit and hat. They mock her, but Alpha ignores them and dances in her own unique way. Nisa Rose feels embarrassed for her sister, while Glinda becomes frustrated and decides to join Alpha on the dance floor. The students are surprised by Glinda's actions, and even Alpha thinks Glinda is mocking her. Alpha starts crying, but Glinda approaches her, wipes her tears, and hugs her. This marks the beginning of their friendship. When they return to their room, Glinda suggests playing a truth game where each shares a secret. Glinda confesses that she loves Prince Fibro and wants to marry him. Alpha reveals that her father always blames her for her sister, Nisa Rose's disability. Glinda is shocked and asks why. Alpha explains that when her mother was pregnant with Nisa Rose, her father forced her to eat milk flowers to prevent her sister from being born green. This made Alpha feel guilty toward her sister. She also shares that her mother died because of this, and Glinda reassures her that it wasn't her fault. Glinda then notices a green bottle under Alpha's pillow and asks about it. Alpha explains that it is a keepsake from her mother. Glinda decides to teach Alpha how to become a beautiful girl, how to interact with people, and how to make them like her. She tries to use a magic wand to change Alpha's clothes, but fails. Instead, she places a flower in Alpha's hair and tells her she is beautiful. Alpha blushes, hearing such words for the first time. Prince Fibro sees Alpha mimicking Glinda's movements and hair flips. He tells her, "You are beautiful and unique. You don't need to imitate anyone." Soon after, it's time for the lecture. The goat Fidelamond announces that today will be his last day at the school. When the students ask why, the police enter and take the goat away in front of everyone. Alpha becomes upset and tries to follow, but she is stopped. The teacher tells her to stay in her seat. Shortly afterward, the history teacher arrives, but this time, he is a human. He brings a lion cub locked in a cage. He tells them, "This is the real place for animals." But Alpha was the only one sitting and feeling upset. She remembered the vision she had seen when the goat was imprisoned, so she got angry and said, "I must do something." Suddenly, she hit the vase, or all the flowers flew away. Also, all the students fell asleep, even the new teacher. Strangely, Vibro was the only one unaffected. They went to rescue the cub, and Alpha quickly followed them to the forest. When Morabel came, she realized what had happened was because of Alpha. She became happy and sent a message to the wizard. But Vibro and Alpha, when they freed the cub, Vibro felt a strange sensation toward Alpha. We know she admired him, but also knew he would never care for her or think about her in that way. When he left her, Alpha told herself, "He will never care for me. I am not the beautiful Glinda of the magical city." Here she saw him standing with Glinda, but we know his mind was on Alpha. He didn't understand this feeling he had toward Alpha. The next morning, she received an invitation from the Wizard of Oz, asking her to visit the Emerald City. She was very happy because her dream had come true. Glinda was also happy for Alpha. Then the green train arrived to take Alpha to the Emerald City. At this moment, Prince Vibro came to bid her farewell and said, "I haven't forgotten what happened between us in the forest, and what I felt was real." Glinda sensed there was something between them and became upset because she loved Vibro. Because of this, Alpha felt regret. She told Glinda, "Come with me to the Emerald City." Indeed, they boarded the train and went to the Emerald City. They were amazed when they saw the buildings were all green, and even the people were all dressed in green. Then they arrived at Oz's palace and presented the wizard's invitation to the guard, who told them the wizard was waiting for them. They entered the palace and walked past the monkey guards. When they entered, they saw the wizard. Alpha heard his voice and became scared. At that moment, he asked them, "Why did you come here?" Alpha replied, "I am Alpha." Suddenly, the terrifying voice came closer, and he revealed himself from behind the mask. He said, "I am happy to see you," and kept laughing and praising her. At that moment, he showed them the future city of Oz and a small doll that looked like her. He said, "One day, you will be the most powerful witch on Earth." Then Morabel arrived and greeted them, surprised to see Glinda. At that moment, the monkey removed the cloth from the magic book, which was not supposed to be read by just anyone. The wizard told her that reading an important spell was very difficult, and that he wouldn't force her to do it. He knew the day had been exhausting for her. He kept talking until Alpha said, "I will try." They were surprised when the book opened on its own for her. Alpha saw the monkey leader standing silently and upset. She looked at the book, which opened to a specific spell. Morabel said she could only read 2 words from the spell, but Alpha read it all. Suddenly, the monkey began to scream, fell to the ground, and started to grow wings and feathers. Here, we realized that the wizard had conspired with Morabel because they couldn't read the spell themselves. When Alpha was asked to reverse the spell to restore the monkeys to their natural state, Morabel said it wasn't possible. Alpha became upset with Morabel and left. But the shock was that all the monkeys had grown wings and feathers. Morabel and the wizard were pleased with Alpha's talent. When Alpha grew angry with them, the wizard said the monkeys would be useful to them. The wizard said they would fly over the city and report any rebellious animal activity. But Alpha accused him of orchestrating everything that had happened to the animals. Morabel told her they did it for the benefit of the city of Oz, and that Alpha would also benefit because people would love her. But Alpha refused to help them. The wizard told her that when he arrived, the city was full of problems, and he needed to find a real enemy for humans. Alpha said, "If you want spies, why didn't you create them yourself? You're not even a real wizard. If you were, you could have done this yourself." She grabbed the book and told him to read it. She was shocked to find out he wasn't a wizard at all and knew nothing about magic. She took the book and fled. Morabel told Glinda that if she wanted to achieve her dreams, she should go after her and bring her back. Then Morabel spoke to the monkeys and told them that Alpha, the green girl, was the reason they grew wings. She ordered them to capture her and bring her back. The wizard went to his mask, altered his frightening voice, and ordered the guards to capture Alpha. They began to surround the entire place. Unfortunately, she couldn't escape the palace, but she took Glinda and hid her in another room, locking the door. When Glinda tried to convince her, Alpha wasn't persuaded. They heard Morabel speaking about Alpha through the microphone, calling her the wicked witch who wanted to harm humans and animals. The entire city learned of her description. Glinda told her this was her chance, and because of this, she would become famous and loved. Alpha said, "Something inside me has changed. I don't want to be loved or famous at the expense of the animals suffering." But unfortunately, at that moment, the guards began to approach. Alpha recited a spell to fly, and suddenly, she saw the broom coming toward her. She instructed Glinda to climb on it, saying, "Together, we will achieve our dreams." Glinda brought her something to wear because she saw she was very cold. In this state, she was fully dressed as the Wicked Witch. Before they could escape, the guards captured Glinda. Alpha fled alone, managing to fly on the magical broomstick. She stood in front of all the guards. When Alpha became angry, she shattered all the glass. Morabel quickly took advantage of the situation and embraced Glinda. Alpha decided to return to save Glinda when she can control her magic. And here ends the first part. Stay tuned for the next part. Don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell.